Howdy! Another year in New Horizons has come and gone, and we are heading into our first year of playing New Horizons as a completely completed game, which is very interesting. Who knew that 2 years ago, as people were making their prediction videos and wish lists and everything, that it wouldn't be another 2 years until those videos could come to an end. I don't tend to make a lot of prediction content just because I feel like it doesn't stand to the test of time, and I'm hoping a lot of my content does. But before the game came out, I did make 3 wish list videos, and my plan was to make a video after the game came out if those things came true and what did come true. But it took 2 years for the game to completely come out, so now I can make that video. And along the way, I have made mostly wish list videos, and then 1 or 2, I think I only have 1 prediction video, but it was like a parody. So I guess maybe I'll include that one and say like what my genuine thoughts were versus what I put in the parody. And yeah, we'll see if I could read the future. So the first video I ever made about New Horizons was a month before launch, and it was 10 things I wouldn't miss in New Horizons if they weren't there. And it's funny looking back because it turns out if you wanted to be correct in your predictions, more people should have been making this kind of list. Out of everything that I wish list, that I predicted, this is the most correct. Granted, I did list really minor things because, as I said, these are things I would not miss. It's not like I went in there like, I won't miss if Nook's Cranny never existed again, because that just doesn't make sense. So first off was Katrina, which, so close to not making it, but then in update 2.0, she decided to show her face. And with that, I also said Luck. Apparently they brought Luck back with her. I'm still not quite sure how it works. Not that I'm really sure in any game, but it is back. I don't know if this version of Luck influences tripping. I think tripping just happens if you're holding like a balloon or something you can lose. Number 3 was April Fools / Blanca, and those did not return. They do have a whoopee cushion for April Fools in the Nook shopping app, but the whole Blanca April Fools event did not return. And Blanca in general. Obviously you can get her in the roost, but you're not going to be frolicking with her out and about. Number 4 was the museum store, which did not return, and I also said I wanted a new job for Celeste. I felt like she just wasn't getting enough exposure up there in the museum, and bam, we got that new job for Celeste and no museum store. 5 was wrapping paper. They did bring that back, but with you getting an extra friendship point if you wrap a gift, I'm kind of okay with it. I actually used it a lot, so my complaint for it before isn't as valid now. Number 6, gem rocks, and they did do away with all the different gem colors, so like sapphire, emeralds, rubies, and I'm pretty happy about it. Obviously those were replaced with stone and iron, but those are actually used in crafting and things, so they are very useful and they aren't difficult to collect like the rubies and sapphires were in New Leaf. Number 7 was the Stripe series. Yeah, a lot of series did not return. I haven't seen every customization for all the new series, so like the Simple series could have a Stripe customization, but I don't think so. So I think officially the Stripe series is out along with many other series. Number 8 was jellyfish when diving / I wanted to be able to catch them again, and that happened before they were like an enemy in the water and you would hit them and panic, and like it was just an extra obstacle to diving. But they returned to being a catchable thing, and I really did appreciate that. I remember the first time I got one, I was like, yes! Yes! Number 9. This one I didn't think anyone would disagree with me about, but apparently seeing the discourse on the internet over the last 2 years, people really would. And that is that I didn't care for villager games, the hide and seek and things. I was like, yeah, if that disappeared, I'd be fine with it. And it did disappear, and people were not fine with it, and they did not bring it back. However, the next one, I said I also wouldn't mind if villagers not coming over stopped being a thing, and people were dismayed about that, and it started being a thing again with 2.0. A lot of these waited till 2.0 to happen. if they did happen. In this case, I don't mind the villager coming over thing just because they don't schedule it. They're not like, oh, in like an hour, can I come over? That's what's annoying. But when they pop in, it's still annoying because it's like, can we like play a game or something together? I wish they had evolved it to be something more interesting, but they brought it back. Apparently other people missed it. I did not. The next video I did was a wish list for New Horizons, and these are all really out there. I didn't expect any of them to come true. It was just kind of like a, could be cool. The first one was angling furniture, and I still really want this. It would be annoying shifting through 8 different ones, but I really want to be able to angle furniture. So, didn't happen, but still want it. Shelf decorating, being able to go in and put specific items in specific ways on shelves. It's a little too extra. If that ever happened, it would probably be like 3 games from now. I wanted building customization. This one really wasn't that out there. Like, you could customize Town Hall and the train station in previous games, so I wanted every building to be customizable, including Able Sisters and Nook Shopping. That did not happen, and I'm kind of surprised by it, honestly. However, with Happy Home Paradise, you can customize villager houses, the exteriors and the interiors, so it's kind of halfsies. Number 4, I wanted a wall-by-wall accent wall, and they kind of did it. They let you change one wall, which I feel like, honestly, is pretty good. Being able to do all the walls might be a little too much. There's not a room in my house where I did 4 different things for every wall, so it makes sense that they're not going to be like, yeah, throw up 4 different wallpapers. But I do wish you could do like 2 walls are this wallpaper and 2 walls are the other one instead of just 1 and then 3. But they added accent wall, and I'm pretty thrilled about it. I honestly didn't think that one would happen. Oh, another thing I want to help with customization is wallpaper patterns. So you know how you can make pro clothing patterns? I wanted pro wallpaper patterns so you could make as good of a wallpaper design as the developers do. Fortunately, that didn't happen. And along with that, I wanted a path template kind of thing. So it's like a pack you would make with the template, and you'd be like, this is my corner, this is my thing, so that you could lay your custom paths just like you lay the Nintendo paths. So if you want a swiped corner, you would go back and swipe it, kind of a thing. Just way more convenient and less brain using than laying all the different pieces and being like, okay, corner. For number 7, I wanted to be able to change your camera angle outside. And they kind of did. You can do the up angle, which is honestly super helpful in some cases, especially with all the items now. Sometimes you need to up the angle to get around them. And you can also, with the camera, do a slight side angle, but not the full 360 I was hoping for, which is understandable. They'd have to make it so the flowers could be seen from every angle and the trees, so I understand why they didn't do it, but I'm hoping in some future game it happens. Number 8, I wanted high heels. And along with this, I also said I just want more diversity in shoes. And I feel like high heels would have brought that. And they actually did add some high heels. It's kind of hard to notice that they're high heels, but they are high heels. All in all, though, I'm really happy with the variety of shoes. I think all the different colors really help. There's a good diversity in the shapes that they have. Number 9, I really wanted and was just shocked that this hadn't happened before, and that is that I wanted the design on the outside of the packaging showing what was inside. This was for carpets and wallpapers and flowers, and they definitely didn't do it as I expected, because before the carpets and wallpapers and flowers would be out on the tables, so I was like, just put what it looks like on the outside, but instead they put it in the little cabinet and you can see what it looks like. So wish was fulfilled, but not in the way I expected, and definitely better than what I was expecting. I really love the cabinet. It's so convenient. And number 10, I wanted Christmas lights, especially on my own house, and being able to choose what they looked like and things. That didn't happen. You did have Town Hall had Christmas lights, but hopefully next game. And the last video I released before launch was 15 things they need to bring back. And these are, of course, things that were in previous games that I want to return. Number 1 was morning aerobics / being able to use the dance moves later on. I was saying I wanted the aerobics radio back, but we're going to go ahead and count that the emotes you get after doing morning aerobics enough is going to count for that. And of course, group stretching counts for morning aerobics. I definitely thought they'd bring it back as the event, but I'm also fine with the radio that they're doing now, so you can do it anytime and do it year round, which I think is great. I'm just so pleased that they brought that back. Hence me making a video on it a few weeks ago. Number 2 was the Egghorn Festival. It was not brought back, but Cornimer was, and I'm kind of happy about that. and I do love mooching the acorns from him. Number 3 was Gyroid Storage with Brewster. This one I no longer desire just because the storage is so good now. Also, there's less gyroids, so it's not as overwhelming as it was before. The only upside I would say to having separate gyroid storage is that in City Folk you could hear what sound they made going through the gyroid storage, so I do miss that aspect, but it's no big deal. Number 4 was Ceiling Decor. There was no Ceiling Decor in Pocket Camp, and I hadn't seen any in the New Horizons ads, so I was very concerned it wouldn't be in game, and it wasn't starting out. But finally, with the 2.0 update, they brought it back, which I'm very happy about. Number 5, I put the Golden Axe trading game. I really just wanted any sort of kind of side quest type thing, and there's none in New Horizons, which is unfortunate. Maybe next game. I definitely want more questy kind of things, but whatever. Number 6 was advanced visitor warnings. So in GameCube, Copper would tell you the next visitor coming and what date it was going to be on, and I wanted that. Now, however, New Horizons is the first game to have a visitor every single day, so the advanced warning kind of thing doesn't make sense. I guess you could have like a schedule posted of who's coming that week. At least they made it so Isabel warns you every morning whose it's going to be, and I feel like that is enough. Number 7, I wanted the return of the flea market that was in Wild World and City Folk, where people would come and buy things from your house, and you could go to people's houses and buy things from them. And that has not returned, and there's not even like a secondhand way of selling your stuff, which is kind of weird. In most games they have that. However, they did make it available that if you're visiting one of your villagers, if you click on their items, sometimes they'll let you buy them. So it's kind of close. You don't get to sell anything, but at least you can buy items off your villagers. I wanted the 4th of July to return. I understand it's an international game, so it really doesn't make sense for them to have the 4th of July return. But mostly I just wanted the items to return that were in GameCube. At the fireworks show, Red sold balloons, pinwheels, and fans. The Uchiwa fans. I should have sat down and tried to pronounce that before. Anyway, whatever they're called, fans. I wanted those brought back. They had balloons in every other game, but pinwheels and those fans disappeared. And they did bring them back for the fireworks show, so I was very pleased. Of course, it's only one pinwheel and one fan, but later they released the fan design so we can make our own custom one. So in spirit, I feel like that one's really covered. This next one definitely isn't wanted by like anyone else apparently from what I've seen on the internet, but I really want them to bring back collecting things for Gulliver and Wisp. Like in Wild World and City Folk, you collected gears for Gulliver, 5 of them, and in the original Animal Crossing, you collected Wisp spirits, and I wanted them to bring them back. And it's like the 2 characters people hate most now are Gulliver and Wisp. They don't like the game of collecting their crap. I still enjoy it though. I think it's fun. Anyway, they did bring it back, and I'm quite pleased with it. Number 10, I wanted them to bring back numbers in the catalog. They had this in Wild World and GameCube to tell you how far you were from completing it or whatever. And I'm still very mixed about this one. I kind of want them to bring it back, but I also think it's a bad idea because then you feel like you need to collect them all, and there's just too many items now to collect them all, so it's probably a good thing that they stopped doing this. And then I did a speed round. I wanted Ace brought back, and they did that for me. I'm so pleased with that. I wanted cockroaches to be a bug you could catch again. They did not bring that back. I miss chasing it down in the museum. However, with the current museum, it really wouldn't make sense for them to have a cockroach loose. I wanted them to bring back the credit card from City Folk, and I definitely think this one is still valid, especially with how expensive Timmy and Tommy's items are. Some of them are over 100,000, and I don't want to be carrying a few bags of money in my pockets all the time. So I wanted the message of the week to return from Wild World. This was put on the board next to Town Hall, and it just made it more interesting to read it, and they really nerfed it in New Horizons. All it does is holidays and birthdays. And lastly, I wanted drop all brought back from GameCube. You could drop up to 9 items at a time. And you would highlight them and then be like drop all instead of being like drop, 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 and I definitely still miss that. Ugh, it's so annoying dropping and picking things up. Insane that they haven't brought that back. Maybe they just like forgot it existed or something. And that is a wrap for videos I put out in expectations of New Horizons. All videos from now on, New Horizons is already out and updates are starting to come out. So my next one was where did all the series go, and I just made a couple predictions about how series were going to come back throughout the game. So I figured because all the series that were in game were ones from GameCube and they were the first ones alphabetical, I figured they would be replacing series starting from ones that were introduced in GameCube and that they would go in ABC order. And then once they finish GameCube, they do any that were new to Wild World, new to City Folk, and then new to New Leaf, and release them A to Z. I was very wrong about that. They just did whatever in the end. I also predicted that the series from New Leaf, they would just copy and paste, so almost nothing would change. I was definitely wrong about that. Like, the Elegant series is probably Rococo, and it's quite different from Rococo. And the Simple series is pretty similar to the Minimalist series, and they definitely changed that up quite a bit. So basically all my predictions were wrong in that video. I also said I thought they would release soon, and this was back in like May of 2020. So I wouldn't count a year and a half later as soon at all. On to the next video where I make a couple predictions. I said finding jobs for missing NPCs. I guess these weren't predictions, but just kind of having fun thinking of what they could do if they made it into game. My number one was Wendell giving out food recipes. I'm still like shocked and disappointed that this didn't happen. I feel like it's the perfect fit for him, and I hate that all recipes are just obtained from talking to villagers. Obviously there's some you get by catching different fish and things like that, but for the most part, the recipes are coming from villagers. I wish they did a more creative way of introducing them. The next job I found was for Reese and Cyrus. I thought it would be nice for Cyrus to return to customizing, which he actually did. Although originally I thought it would be as a visitor, not as a permanent fixture, but I much prefer it as a permanent fixture. And I also said Reese would return as a way to resell old items. So you would leave them with her and all your friends would be able to see via the internet what you were selling and how much you were selling it for. Obviously that didn't happen, and it's really sad that Reese doesn't have a role. Nowadays I wish she would be there to customize clothing items for you, like the stuff you get from Gulliver and the stuff you get from your mom. There's no way to get the other variations unless you wait out to get the other variations, which in the case of your mom you'd have to play 6 years, or you know, of course you can trade with someone. So it would be nice to have a built-in way to change how those clothes look, and I think Reese would be the perfect medium for it. In that video, I also thought that it would be nice for the male trio, Pelly, Phyllis, and Pete, to return for a V-Day event where you exchange letters between them and you kind of get the gossip of the love triangle between them. I thought that would be really fun. Or at the very least, you would deliver letters between your villagers that were either love letters or friendship letters and things like that, and just get to know their relationships a little bit better. Obviously none of that happened. There was just Nook shopping, and I think you do get a couple letters and items from Isabel and villagers. So there's something there, but I want an intricate event. I said if Joan returned, she could sell the vegetables that I was pretty sure was going to be in game eventually because of the Dana mines, along with foreign fruit. I didn't think this would actually happen because she's been a turnip gal forever, and I thought it would probably actually go to Leaf. If she needed a role, that could have been a role. And lastly in that video, the job I found for Lyle and Lottie was basically you would design a room like you do in Happy Home Paradise, and then the next day they would set it up in your house and they would store your previous design so you can bring it out later. Obviously this is pretty complicated and would be kind of hard to do with the items and everything. Like, do you just pay for them? Do they just let you do it? Is Animal Crossing even about collecting items anymore? So it was pretty complicated, and instead they kind of brought that with being able to decorate your villagers' houses after you've done 30 for Happy Home Paradise. I feel like that's a pretty good step. Alright, moving on to another video that I made a couple predictions in. This was New Horizons' biggest missing feature, where I talked about episodes / memories and what they were like in previous games. I mentioned how CJ ended up talking about his past with me in New Horizons, so I predicted what I thought it would look like if they continued in this direction, and I said basically you would get the gossip directly from the person, so it wouldn't be people talking about other people, and it would just be one thing, one time. It would happen, you gotta be there, and it would be meaty, it would be deep, they'd go into depth. Also, this would go across a lot of different people, so basically every NPC you could hear a little bit of their background story. And I said going forward in like future games, it would be really cool if they had memories affect the game, like what you say at one person's memory determines what other memories played and things like that. As much as I think this would be cool, I don't think it's actually going to happen just because it's very intricate going-ons behind all that. And also, I feel like Animal Crossing is not a multiple playthrough kind of a thing. I believe they mostly expect you to make one town and just keep playing that town. So unless they had all the memories reset after a year and then you can go through and play through different options, then maybe it would make sense. It makes sense just to have set memories that everyone experiences. What they ended up doing though was having Happy Home Paradise and the Roost. You bring someone into the Roost and you can talk to them and learn a little bit more about them. And in previous games you could talk to people at the Roost, but you didn't get the same diversity. Not as many people came to the Roost, so this is nice. You get much more people by scanning them in. And you can also get quite a bit of their background by scanning them into Happy Home Paradise, which is also the same as Happy Home Designer. You would get that. So nothing extraordinarily new, but nice to have in general. There is new dialogue these ways. The next video I made some predictions in was knocking off Gracie Grace's items since they were not in game and currently aren't. I truly believe that they would make a return, and I said that when they did return, they would be way more expensive since a lot of the items that were in Tom Nook's previously have jumped up crazy in price. I thought that Gracie's would be, instead of like from 50,000 to 300,000, I thought they'd be more like 300,000 to 500,000, but obviously she's not back. And I also thought that if you even did have the money, they would take a long time to get. It would be a slow trickle. But yeah, none of that happened. And finally, the last video I made concerning New Horizons and its updates that I'm going to be talking about in this video. I also made a video talking about how I didn't care for villagers to move in, and I made tons of predictions in that one, but like, so much happened in that video that it would take a whole separate video to talk about. And also, since that whole video was arguing against the idea of what ended up happening, Harvey's co-op, I think it would be best if I did a separate video talking about if I think they pulled off Harvey's co-op well or not. Anyway, so the last video we'll be discussing in this video is a hunky one for predictions. It was what's really in the 2.0 update. And this was a spoof because as an Animal Crossing YouTuber, people are always asking me, when do you think the 2.0 is going to happen? What do you think is going to be in the 2.0? Which I found a little bit silly because I really didn't make content talking about updates. I mean, obviously I had opinions and things, but it wasn't like that was my turf. So I decided to make a spoof. And some of these things I did think were true, but I like blew them out of proportion as to what I thought would actually happen. So I'll talk about with each thing what I thought the actual thing was and what I just put in there to be ridiculous. So let us begin. First off, I said it was going to happen April 28th, 2021, and I definitely did think it was going to happen before June last year, so I was very surprised to have to wait until November. And I said it was everything you ever dreamed of, which obviously can't be true because you can dream of a lot of crazy things, and with all the things I just listed, many of the things I dreamed of did not come true, but I did say it was going to be very big, about as big as 8 of the updates we've had, and honestly, it has been very big. It probably does equal about 8 of the previous updates. I honestly didn't think it would be that big. When I was talking about how big it was going to be, I thought I was over-exaggerating, but they ended up dropping everything together. I really believe that Cooking and Veggies would be released separately from Rooster and the Roost. Like, all of those things together were crazy, and then like Captain's Island, and there was just so much, along with Happy Home Paradise, if you count that as 2.0. I did say that Brewster and Gyroids would return together, which I was correct about, and I did say that Gyroids would be nothing like the original. I didn't super believe this. I thought they were going to be reskinning them, tuning them up. I didn't think they would just jump ship and redesign them completely, but I really do appreciate the redesign. So that prediction was correct. Although I did say they would be more akin to Zipper T Bunny. I guess you can make a judgment call if that is true. Continuing on with what would change in the Roost, I said there would be 120 different items that Brewster was selling and that these would be seasonal. I didn't think that many items would be added to the Roost, but I did think there was a possibility of the Roost selling other items. I didn't like it just because I feel like Brewster is so coffee center, it'd be weird for him to branch out. But I thought, you know, just to expand the Roost they would do that, but they found other ways to do that. I also thought that working for Brewster would continue. I was pretty surprised that to get the Roost exclusive items, it's just have coffee regularly there, which I honestly prefer to the New Leaf game. I didn't like the New Leaf game. It was fun at the beginning that you could have something like that, but basically you have to use a guide or you just have to do it over and over since it's kind of random what villagers like. There's no being like, oh, well, it's a jock personality, so they're not going to want any sugar or anything like that. There's no skill involved. It's just doing it enough that you memorize their orders, unless you use a guide. So I always used a guide. I thought instead, if they did do another game, it would be skill-based. The things I said in the video is doing some cooking for him, so it'd go into like kind of a cooking mama-esque thing where you like chop ingredients or something like that, or you would gather ingredients for him in some sort of maze situation. Obviously none of that came true and I'm not too bummed about it. Then I threw in that there would be a Gyroid rescue moon mission, which obviously I didn't believe was true. It was just something whack. And that brought me to talking about Wendell being incorporated with farming and cooking. I really thought he would be the king to bring it all. I truly, truly did. And nope, instead, his only role is being able to be scanned at the cafe. I'm like so bummed about it. I really thought he would return. In my heart of hearts, I'm still like, they just ran out of time to make Wendell come. They always planned it. I also said that to make a pizza, you would use tomato, cheese, and bread. Obviously there is tomato and bread in game, but no cheese, so that can't happen. But I did predict pizza, and pizza is in game. I stated that there would be major dialogue reform. I didn't actually believe they would reform dialogue. I thought that they could, potentially, but I didn't truly think that. And in saying that they would reform dialogue, I was like, they're gonna always be mean, they're gonna burst into your house, tell you it's ugly, things like that. And I don't believe ever in the future that villagers are going to be mean again. Society has just changed. We're not as mean anymore in real life. Yeah, it just wouldn't fit with the culture now, especially as they are getting a wider and wider audience. Personally, in real life, I am not afraid at all that people are going to be mean to me just because it doesn't happen. I'm more afraid of people not willing to tell me that I'm majorly weird or something like that because we're all too busy being too kind. Meanwhile, everyone's being like, she's a total freak, but no one's gonna say anything because everyone's too kind now. But I do believe they could make dialogue more interesting and less focused around you, make it appear like the villagers have their own lives outside of you, and that would be nice. I also said that you could bribe them to make them stop being mean. To your face. Obviously, that wouldn't ever happen, and I didn't believe that at all. Moving on to talking about the shop, I said there would be 10 shop upgrades, and all series would return, along with Gracie and her furniture, and you could also have 4 visitors move in. And on top of that, with all the new stuff returning, there'd be over 1,000 new items. And the 1,000 new item thing was actually correct. Some people say 9,000 counting variations. I don't count variations. They're nice, but like a variation doesn't count as its own item kind of a thing. So 1,000 new items was correct. There's more than 1,000 new items. Visitors moving in was also correct, not into Timmy and Tommy's shop, but they did get their own special spot, and it was more than 4. Gracie and her furniture did not return. This is something I truly thought would happen, and then it didn't, and I'm honestly shocked. So shocked that I believe there's gonna be another update later this year with like Gracie's furniture and something you can do with friends, some sort of multiplayer mini games, because I'm literally shocked those things didn't happen. And I think they just said it was the end so people would stop bothering them and stop being like, it isn't enough, give us more. I'm just in denial, basically. All series did not return. I really truly believe that all series would in the end be in game. Not the exact same series, but something to stand in its place. I do think they captured most missing series vibes, like the cool series captures the modern, and the sleek series vibes. But it is sad not to have all the series return, because there's definitely times where I'm like, this series doesn't have enough items. The Elegant series is just, it needs like 3 more items, but there's not a lot of other series that are similar enough to it to be those 3 other items for it. So it's kind of disappointing. And with the 10 shop upgrades, I really didn't believe there would be 10. I thought there'd be 1 more. The current store on the 2nd upgrade sells, I believe, about as much as the 4th upgrade in New Leaf, so I figured there'd be 1 more upgrade to match the 5th upgrade in New Leaf, but that didn't happen. Honestly though, there's still less furniture than there was in New Leaf, so I can understand them being like, we don't really need a bigger store. Kind of did that by having the store on Happy Home Paradise's island. Obviously you have to pay for it, so not everyone has access to that, so it sucks. But if you do pay for it, it's basically your store upgrade right there. You get 4 more items every day, and they're always just the new items. And finally, my last set of predictions in that video related to Tortimer's Island. I said it would be returning, but as a horror island. I didn't actually think it'd be a horror island, but I did think Tortimer's Island and the minigames would reappear. I wasn't so sure about the insect part of it, just because it was a huge cash cow, and I didn't think they would allow you to have that much money easily. I said Chip and Nat would reappear on the island, hosting some of the games along with Tortimer, and that you would see villagers that had moved away on this island, and I hinted that these villagers would be dead. Horror is definitely probably not a theme Animal Crossing's ever gonna broach, and that's all I said about the island. Then I threw in a couple things at the end there. There would be regular boxing matches. Obviously, I didn't believe that that would happen. Dragon bushes would enter the arena. Yeah, dragon bushes aren't a thing. I didn't think that would happen. Then at the very end, I threw in all 43 missing villagers would be returning. This was a complete joke. I didn't think they would add any new villagers at this point in the game, but they ended up adding some new ones along with some of the old ones. Not all of them. Nosegay is still missing, Wolio is still missing, and I really want Wolio. There's not enough male sheep in game. So yeah, I kind of predicted the return of old villagers. Definitely didn't think that would happen, but I predicted it anyway. And since this is kind of a reflection on my past content relating to New Horizons, a year ago I did make the 1st anniversary cake, and I did promise to eat it a year later. I meant to do it last week, but like 900% forgot. So at the end of this video, I'll be eating the 1st anniversary cake on this year's 2nd anniversary. Alrighty, 1-year-old cake. Hopefully it's lasted the test of time. There you go. There you have it. I don't know if I trust it. These colors are just not appetizing when you know it's a year old. I don't know if I can do this. Oh, ripped in half. I'm gonna go on the inside because the fruit is probably still frozen there. Yeah, it's still frozen. So it hasn't, like, the outside, it started to smoosh and it's gross, but the inside, this green frosting is not helping. I remember a year ago, this green frosting was awful, just staining the whole wide world, but we'll have a bite of the inside. I feel like Shrek right now. There's green getting everywhere. Yes, that is still frozen. So, safe fruit on the inside. Oh no. It's just frozen, not properly, the strawberries. So it's not the taste I was expecting, but it wasn't. It wasn't bad. It just wasn't fresh strawberry taste. Same with whipped cream. It's a frozen whipped cream taste now. It's not good a year later. In conclusion, I don't think I'm gonna get sick from it, but it is definitely a little funky. I'm really sad because I was kind of morning sick when I made it, so I never got to like really enjoy the original one. By the time I was finished making it, I was like so done with cake and fruit and everything. So I was really hoping a year later I could really enjoy it, but I don't even know what this is, but it's disgusting. Is it just the whipped cream went flat on top and the yellows seeped into it? Anyway, I hope I didn't ruin your appetite. There's that. Happy anniversary. There you go. I haven't made any of the rest of the video yet. I'm just recording intros and outros now. So I have no clue how many predictions I got right. I hope I got quite a few right. I don't know. I hope I didn't make any super dumb ones that I was like, looking back now, I'm like, what was I thinking? Oh, I was also thinking about including in this video a review of Harvey's co-op, because I did do like a 40-minute long video talking about why I didn't want NPCs to have their own shops and like move in. And mind you, this video was before 2.0 was announced. But now that it has happened, I kind of want to do a video reviewing if I think they did it right. Let me know if you think that would be interesting. And yeah, with this game done, it's been kind of funny. We've just kind of moved into talking a little bit about the next game. I'm gonna try avoiding that. I think there's plenty to talk about the past 5 games. So on stream I talk about a little, but I try to avoid it in videos in general. But I would like to know, what are you hoping for the next game? And honestly, if you want to like throw out like way out there ones that you don't think will actually happen, I think that'd be fun too. I mostly just want flowers to be worth something, like that you can make an actual legit business out of flower breeding. I think that would be phenomenal. Thank you so much for watching, and I really truly do hope you have the loveliest of lovely day. Bye till next week, or until next stream, which is 5 days a week. Link in below if you ever want.